But that's sort of like that's a big, long-winded answer to your question. But like that's how it came to me, and
Mm.
when it came to me, what was going on, and what happened after that. But yeah, that's the first time I've ever told that whole.
Huh.
Great.
Interesting. It was great to hear that. I think I had quite a different experience of it because
Hello, hello, Peter, Ika. Thank you so
uh,
much for your time. A pleasure to meet you both. Very excited to talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And I bet you, since I'm very excited, you guys were very excited when you got the role, right? So can you talk a little bit about the excitement since the beginning? We can start with you, Peter.
I so it's so crazy how um the way that the landscape of actors getting work since COVID has dynamically changed. Where like I really miss going into casting directors' offices and being in the room with people. And so now it's self-tape, right? It's like you make these videos of yourself, which is fine and good. And so I had made, I think I was probably, this was like 48 or 49, like my 48th or 49th, maybe 50th submission, right, of like auditioning for a year and change, and like just submitting, trying. And some things I really wanted. I was like, this is cool. I'd love to do this. I'd love to work because I haven't worked in a long time. But when I got this came when I got the email for this, and like was talking to my manager, my team about this project, and then I got the material, which wasn't very much. You know what I mean? It wasn't very much material. I had a weekend to prepare, and I told my wife, and I was like, this is something that I really, really, really want to do because I feel like it's asking so much of me, like to and so went to the process of auditioning making my submission tape, and then I had a meeting with Wes, and he got even more excited. And then I started to started to worry that like, oh, this is the possibility of the kind of work that's out there that I don't get to do. But then when I got it, I was like elated, and just I was like so happy. And then I got really worried because I'm like, oh, but now I have to do this. And then how do I pull off a talking orangutan? So worked on it, and research, and it wasn't until we got to Sydney where we had Ape School in the basement of one of the sound stages, and it all just began to gel and materialize. It was still a very daunting task, but there was a roadmap because our movement director Alain Gauthier had, like you said, Ika, before. That's a great articulate point that you brought up. He had mapped out the differences between the anatomy of a bonobo, which is different than a gorilla, which is different than an orangutan, which is different than a chimpanzee. But he had all of that for us to work with. He brought all of that in, and we spent the 6 weeks, working it and building it, and then so like the way forward became pretty clear because we had like a structure and a system in which we could build upon, and then we had each other. So like that's what like a lot of the pressure came off of me, I felt like, as an individual, because we were figuring it all out together, like as an ensemble. So that helped a great deal. But that's sort of like that's a big, long-winded answer to your question. But like that's how it came to me, and
mm.
when it came to me, what was going on, and what happened after that. But that's the first time I've ever told that whole.
Huh.
Great.
Interesting. It was great to hear that. I think I had quite a different experience of it because I was going through a really challenging moment with my eldest son, and he was having some health issues. And so when I did the audition, the self-tape, I just submitted it and sent it away, and honestly completely forgot about it. And then it was months later, I just got a call. They're like, oh, they want you, they want to put a pin in you for this role. And I was like, what role? Like, what is this? And and I was like, oh my God, it's the one where I have to be a monkey. Like that was the first thought. I was like, I was like, oh no, I've now got to do that. And I was just in a really different headspace. And so it wasn't really until I got to Ape School that I realized how awesome it was, of like getting to meet all the other cast and getting to kind of meet Elaine and see the work that was kind of being put into it. And it was through the process of Ape School that I really fell in love with the whole process of this film and getting to play this character and really kind of getting to know the character and the gift that it's been for me personally of learning how to take up more space in the world and be a more kind of dominant presence in a room and all these things that are gifts that came through the character of Silver. So slightly different pathway, but same net result at the end of like, this was one of the favorite experiences that I've had as an actor.
Yeah, what has amazed me, like how much like we see you, both of you, on the characters, you know, when you guys put the emotion, capture suits, and then also I was like researching and everything was shoot on location, and then that makes a difference. And then it's like, how was it for you, like how the importance to be in a movie like this that, you know, is on location, it's not just CGI, and then we kind of get your own emotions on the character. Peter?
Well, because we had the extensive rehearsal of camp of you know, Ape Camp, by the time we got out onto these fantastic locations, and I have to say, like some of like the most beautiful landscapes, untouched rainforest, just gorgeous mountains, and just, you know, the wildlife, everything wants to kill you, you know. You know, you're just in it, and like, you know, like the feeling of now, mind you, we're wearing like these, you know, pretty much head to toe suits, which is, it's hot, it's very, very hot because we're shooting in the summertime in Australia, but because we're covered, you know, like the leeches had to work really hard to get to you. Some people, you know, like some people did find a leech. I'm like, how did this get in here? But just the feeling of the grass on your you know, on your body as you're going through, you know, like, or stepping through like the water and the rivers and stuff like that, that just really just brought you right there. So much so that when we did shoot on sound stages or just like in a volume where it's just like a big blank room, that imaginative work in that physicality in your body is still present. It wasn't like we had to imagine what this is like to be on, and then we, you know, we're riding horses and we're doing a lot of this actual practical stuff. You know, it just lent itself to like the volume experience, where like it's just sort of all laid out. But for the most part, being out in these locations, just, you know, like if you were doing anything, I mean, like because the landscape and the locations were just like almost another character in the film, because a lot of this film takes place in the daytime, you know what I mean? And, you know, like a lot of these really lush landscapes were just as vital, and that's much to a testament to Wes Ball, like wanting to be out in the world, and just something very authentic to that feel. But yeah, like it was made it that much easier to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd just add to that like I grew up in Australia, and so for me, getting to go back there and shoot in some of these locations, which are some of my favorite places in the world, and the sounds of the Australian bush and the smells of the different plants and all of those things just drop you into, for me, it was like this very primal, animalistic kind of place naturally. So yeah, I was so grateful to get to kind of shoot on those locations, and then having been there when it does come time to go into the studio, it's so much easier because it's like you know it in your bones what it feels like to be there and what these characters feel like and how they move and interact together. And so then it just became like drama school, just a bunch of crazy actors being apes, bouncing off each other and having an absolute.
No, it's amazing. I love it. I think it's what you guys did there is not just like the emotions. Everything is like the physical part. Everything is so complex and everything is all together. I just want to salute you both because if I can salute all the cast because you guys did an amazing job. And I know it's a challenge, but what was like the biggest challenge for you? Like was like the acting, was the suit, was the Peter?
I think the biggest challenge, it's sort of twofold. As I said, the challenge of what is that? What does it mean to be a talking orangutan 300 years from now? Well, there's not a lot of, but there's no reference. There's no, like you have orangutans that we have now that don't talk. They sign and communicate, but they don't talk. And I'm an actor, and I'm charged with like lifting language off of a page, like taking a concept and making it a reality, truthfully, or at least as three-dimensionally as possible. And what was difficult, I think, more so than the physicalization of learning how to become an orangutan, or at least learning like the physicality of an orangutan, but combining the physicality with the language and kicking out the human being. You know what I mean? But I'm a human being, so I'm charged with this task of not being human, but doing something very identifiable as human, written by humans and for humans, and so I had to be really. So when you be really deeply invested, so when things didn't feel right, when things felt too human, I had to be like, hold on. This is like, we're missing like, and like, they were like, oh yeah, we didn't think about that. And I'm like, well, because it's written by humans for humans, but so I have, but not, for orangutans. You know what I mean? But it's so that merging of all of those things and just try to be as consistently possible, and rally around this concept. And make it, and so the audiences doesn't have to suspend their disbelief as much. That was pretty challenging, and I loved it because I loved how difficult it actually was. That's what kicked me in the pants every day. I don't know about you, but
now you're ready to play any character.
Pretty much, like bring it on. You know what I mean?
And for you, Eka?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was kind of the opposite side of the spectrum, which as a human being, I rely very heavily on language and on words to feel understood and to exert my will on a space or on the world. Silver is a creature of very few words, and he doesn't speak a lot. He's very stoic, and so it was like, how do I get everyone in this space to do what I want them to do, but without telling them to do it? And so it was a real challenge of like learning how to communicate dominance and how to communicate power without being forceful, because he's a very like a calm, fierce, but very there's a stillness that he has in him that is almost antithetical to my ideas prior to playing him around what would be necessary to be a big scary bad guy. And so the challenge was really like, landing in that inherent power and being able to take up enough space to be able to exert my will on the scene and on the other actors without being forceful. And it took me quite some time, because I felt my own kind of sense of inferiority because I'm not physically as big as Silva. And so I'm like, well, how do I take up as much space and get people to do stuff if I'm not actually that? But yeah.
But you did.
And we did. We found it, and it was amazing, and something that's been super valuable to me moving forward as well. So yeah.
Yeah. My last question: if Raka y Silva has to describe the movie in one word, what word do they use?
One word.
Yeah.
Describe this whole movie.
Wonder.
I'm going to steal from Proximus. Evolution.
Exactly. Yeah. I just want to thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to meet you both, and a lot of success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye. If you like to support or continue to support Jana on Camera, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the videos.